about emailing design agencies you'd like to work for, but don't just ask for a job. Ask for advice, bring your folio and talk to them about the industry. You might not get the job from that, but at least they'll know that you're passionate and motivated, and that'll help a lot. Think about social media. Contact individuals or businesses on LinkedIn and follow companies on social media, because they do sometimes show job openings. Go to design events and keep networking. Make sure that you become part of the scene and see your face. So, I actually wanted to ask you guys a bit of a question. Is anyone interested in getting into a digital job? Web design? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, you should definitely consider it, and hopefully this will ease some of the pressures of what it's going to be like. I also want to say as well that when you're not working and if you don't get a job straight away, make sure that you keep freelancing, work on personal projects, so that if you do find a job or you talk to someone, then at least you've been doing something despite the lack of full-time employment. It was surprising to me, actually, when I was at TAFE, how many people didn't go into digital. And I know that at TAFE here we do a lot of print-based, but it's not as scary as you think, and technology does rapidly speed ahead, but it means that there's more room to specialise and more job opportunities, which is ultimately what you all want. The types of jobs, and this is just a really general overview, that you can get as a designer in digital is web design, which is what I do, interface, app design and creation, and you could be a web developer. Alright, so I want to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do as in-house designers. Basically the differences between an in-house or a brand-related web designer compared to that of an agency. This is a very brief overview. So we deal with one brand, which means that we really get to know the company and get to know the brand and what it's about. But it also means that we have really strict brand guidelines, and that can sometimes be pretty challenging. We use one content management system, and we also have to do the developing as well as the design aspects, so coding as well, which is pretty scary. We deal directly with our internal clients, so any business units that work within the RAC, so roadside, auto services, all those kinds of things. And hopefully reasonable working hours. Usually I don't leave the office that much after 6. 8 is really pushing it, and you do get pushed by the cleaners to get out. So agency, you'd be generally dealing with multiple brands. You have a variety of different content management systems, but that is only if you're doing web developing. You generally have a specialised position, and you have a senior designer who oversees all your projects. And usually this means longer working hours, really strict timesheets. So usually in the office around 9 sometimes. Okay, I wanted to speak to you a little bit about the general tips of the trade, just things that I've learned, real basic stuff. Be punctual. You don't realise how important that actually is, and your employer will notice punctuality, even if they don't mention it. Don't expect big money straight up. You'll have to earn your stripes, definitely. Show enthusiasm and passion. Keep an open mind and accept a challenge. Have a neat folder structure, especially if you're sharing drives. Your workmates will definitely need to find items, and they need to find them easily and quickly. Expect lazy briefs. Marketers tend to come in all shapes and sizes, quality and intensity. Stick to deadlines. Make sure that you're always on time. You'll gain client trust and employee trust if you do that. Be careful not to accidentally send an email to all your organisation about how Bob stole your peanut butter sandwich from the shared fridge. This can happen more often than you think, so email etiquette is extremely important. Alright, so now I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about RAC and what it is as a company and what we do at Digital. So RAC has over 720,000 members, making it the largest member-based organisation in WA. That's pretty big, and a lot of people they need to target. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, it's that car company. Well, there are a lot of other things that we do and products and services that we offer to our members. So we have roadside assistance, insurance, home security, finance, auto services, and the list goes on. Our team at RAC Digital, so we've got the managers, that's pretty self-explanatory. They maintain stakeholder relationships and project management, implementation of strategies, that kind of thing. SEO, Google worshiper over here on my left. He does everything from copywriting and content changes, and is probably the only person in the world that's actually going to get Google glasses. Email marketing, so that's all our e-newsletter campaigns and that kind of thing. Hopefully, if you remember, you don't get smashed by us with all those emails. I apologise. Social media, that's pretty self-explanatory as well. Basically, any social communications, but you also have to come up with strategy. This involves not only marketing, but you can also do design as well. Digital analyst, so they basically make sure that all the information that we've got on the site is user-friendly, and they make sure that we're tracking and they put reporting on that. And then there's me, web designer. We design things, and we also make the best user experience, interactive design, and we also do coding, so front-end development. Alright, so this is probably the thing that scares you the most, especially doing graphic design, is the coding part. This is really frightening and is always changing, so it was something that I was quite nervous about when I first began as well. The main things that you should be thinking of learning, if you're not already, is HTML, HTML5, CSS, CSS3. And there's this great online program now called SAS, where it's just an extension of CSS3, and it basically makes coding quite fun if you kind of like it already, I guess. We also do a little bit of jQuery and JavaScript, so I don't actually write that myself, but we implement it within our pages to make it look cool and put a bit more functionality into it. Alright, so I'll basically talk about a few little things that we kind of do during the day and what challenges we're faced with. So the people that we deal with at RAC is marketing managers for each business unit, so roadside and all that kind of thing. We have to deal with IT, which is sometimes challenging. They're the back-end developers, and we've got very strict processes actually, especially with the one brand. So we have to think of legal requirements as well and make sure that we're always adhering to them. We sometimes do copywriting and recommendations, and also content adjustments that Ryan helps us with. And user experience, design, layout, coding, and conversion tracking. The kinds of things we create are campaign landing pages, so paid search and organic, banners, social posts, e-newsletters, mobile pages, apps, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now I'll show you some more of the visual stuff. So this is kind of what we've been doing. We have to do a lot of problem solving at RAC, especially because there are so many pages. There's 1,500 pages within a website. And that means that we always have to be updating it, always thinking about the best strategies, the best way that it can look. So we have to increase functionality and design. An example of this is our travel member benefits. Bear with me, this doesn't look great. I accept that, that's fine. So this is why we wanted to change it. This whole layout was very cumbersome to work with. It doesn't look awesome, and for the user, it's definitely not the best experience. And this is what we've come up with. It's using a jQuery JavaScript called Masonry. I believe that your website might use it as well, actually. And this is a way to categorize products, and you can search through. So here you're showing all of the products, and then you could search on Perth, shopping, and it would change based on your selection. Alright, I wanted to show you a few little examples of creative stuff. You might not think it's as amazing as some of the things that you do at TAFE at the moment, but within our brand guidelines, we thought it was pretty good. So this is a free-to-go web page. This is a landing page, paid page. What the free-to-go is for the younger audience. It's for ages between 17 and 19. So this page was to engage them with what the product is about, and of course they could win an iPad, which is always nice as well. I wanted to show you an example as well of our Facebook posts that we do. This is just an infographic that we've made. Hopefully it comes up around there. And I just wanted to show you laid out next to each other. Member benefits. So because we offer a lot of product discounts to our members, we also get the opportunity to use a bit more colour, not just yellow, which is usually the case. So in this instance, we had an Easter page, so we were able to do a little bit of fun with it. This is a landing page for a competition for Less Emissions Mission. You probably don't know what that is. But what it meant was that members could upload pictures about how to be environmentally conscious and then essentially win something, which was an electric bike. And last but not least, for our creative side, we've got here the Finance Resource Centre. Finance is boring, and I'm sure you probably all think that. So what we decided to do here was create a little hub around information about getting a car loan, tips and tricks about looking after your money, essentially. And this is the layout that we came up with. So I thought I'd do a little bit of explanation of who I am and what I like to do in my spare time. I came up with some designs for our Dutch club, just little illustrations, just to show you that not only am I doing web design stuff, but you can also do stuff on the side and keep your creative juices flowing. You know, it's not just about what your full-time work is. You can also continue with your hobbies. And this is a logo that I did for my friend's production company. All right, well, that's from me, really. Anyway, so now I'm going to talk SEO with Ryan. He's going to take the baton, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about web design.
Thanks everyone. Hi, my name's Ryan. I'm the SEO resident nerd at RAC WA. So hopefully I don't bore you too much with the technical stuff today. If you've got any questions during the process, please just feel free to sing out and ask about it. I'm probably going to take my deposit off those Google glasses. Got me in there earlier. So today, what I'm going to talk to you about is how search engines work, organic versus paid search, what exactly is SEO, why it's important, and some best practices that you as designers can implement when you're building pages, kind of a cheat sheet, things to look out for and push back on the client when you're building pages and working on briefs. Just to give you a bit of background about where I came from in this whole process is, besides mum and dad obviously, I started out as a marketing intern out of University of Melbourne, and my first job was as an account exec at an advertising agency, which I thought was going to be like this, which in actual reality ended up being more like this. So I bounced around ad agency land for a couple of years and thought I would actually prefer to have a bit more hands-on strategy and those sort of things. I think ad agency land is great for the design type people. I didn't enjoy the account management so much. So I moved to a pharmaceutical company for a few years, worked my way up from marketing coordinator to a manager and wrote a hell of a lot of horrible briefs. I thought I would have had that kicked out of me while I was at the agency, but it happens to you as a marketing manager because you get a bit lazy and time poor. So yes, it's very true. There are a lot of lazy briefs out there. Most of which I was responsible for. Then I moved to the UK, worked in a digital marketing team over there for a couple of years before I ended up at the world's best employer, which is the RAC, of course. So it is the world's best employer, and everybody should work there. Just tell Christian I said that. So back to the basic process of how search engines work. There's really 4 key stages to it. I'm sure you're all quite familiar with it, but I'll just run through it again as part of this presentation. So search engines like Bing, Yahoo and Google all send out bots, like little web servers on craft that will follow every link on the internet, follow it down, click on the links on those pages, follow it right down through the whole structure of the web and put it all in Google's filing cabinet, which they call the index. So every bit of information is captured during that process. Images, as you know, when you're searching on Google, you can search for images, videos, you name it, it's there. It then runs an algorithm over all that content to actually establish which of those pieces of content are the most relevant for particular searches that people are conducting. So that ends up with a search engine result page, which we're all familiar with, and I won't bore you with the details beyond this slide right here. So just to really point out as well that a lot of Joe public don't actually realise that the sites on the side and at the top are actually ads. You'd be surprised at how many people actually think they're part of the overall Google search results and don't realise that even though it says these are paid ads and they're a different colour, they don't realise they're ads. So it's something to bear in mind when you're designing your SEM campaigns, is that it can actually be just clicked through. People like to click the first thing they see. Underneath is the organic results, which is what my role is largely concerned with, and I'll be running through in a bit more detail. So the algorithm that Google uses to calculate the relevancy of pieces of content is a really important factor to consider when you're building pages. There are over 200 factors, so I expect you to remember all of them every day. And if anybody figures out what they all are, then they'll be sitting with me on a private beach somewhere, because you're going to help me find out what it is too. So there's a lot of things you can control as part of your role as a designer, which is on-page SEO. So this is the structure of the page, the content, the pictures, the tagging, the title tags, all kinds of things related to what you can control on your website. Then there are also the off-page factors as well, which are things like social links, links from forums, other websites linking to yours, or guest posting on other blogs. There's a whole myriad of them which I won't run through all here, but if you do a Google search on the latest SEO factors, you'll probably find a whole list of things that will really do your head in, as on my plate on a regular basis. So and these algorithms change all the time. And the reason they change all the time is because there are people like me in Russia who want to spam the crap out of everybody on the internet. So they will actually figure out what the recipes for success to get to #1 is, and they will then create huge reams of spam. That's not setting quite out what I want it. Which is not what Google wants. They want quality results all the time in their search engine results. So SEO is all about improving the visibility and position of your website on Google, on Bing, on Yahoo, whenever consumers are searching for information. The closer you are to #1, great. Really difficult to get there, and nobody looks on page 2. I think that the stats, it's all about getting on page 1, and you can really influence that as a designer. So the other aspect to SEO is about making sure that the content that you're building is accessible to both humans who are visiting your site, and ensuring that they're also accessible to those search bots that go out and crawl the internet. As an example, here's what the RAC website looks like to a human visitor, and for the search bot that comes out, which is essentially a glorified text reader, it can't see many of the images, it can't see the nice fancy JavaScript you just designed or anything like that. It is only really caring about the content at the bottom, because that's where the meat is for the search engine. So really important to always remember to include your most important content within the bits that the search engines can actually see. So if you're hiding them within Flash, I don't know if anyone uses Flash anymore, Google can't see those sort of things. So, as you can understand, SEO is really important because it gives you free traffic. If you don't have to pay for that traffic, that's more money that your marketers can spend on other cool stuff like press ads and all those sort of things, or improving your website, which is a really important thing as well. It will help you boost your conversion rates because you're attracting in interested customers who are looking for the information you're providing. You're providing quality information. It'll actually help draw those people in and draw them through the sales process, which pays your salary. Your competition is also doing SEO. They're SEOing the crap out of their websites. So really make sure that you've got to make sure you're putting your best foot forward and getting yourself as visible as possible on Google. Also providing people with the answers to their questions. If you are providing those answers to people who are searching for it, they're more likely to trust you, trust your organisation, and give that and hand over their wallet to you at the end of the day. So that's what a large amount of these websites are all about. So providing good content is really crucial in the whole process. Let's practice. So the things as a designer that you should really be pushing back for with your clients to make your websites and pages for humans and not just for search robots. So making sure that the pages are awesome, they are filled with fresh, information-rich content that is link-worthy, that people want to put on their Facebook, that want to tweet about talk on Google Plus for the 3 people who use Google Plus. It's really important that your pages are as good as you can build and structured correctly, great navigation, all of those things should be factored in there. You also want to make sure that you're using your keywords that people are searching for. So if they're looking for car insurance, Google knows that your page is about car insurance, but you don't want to repeat the words car insurance 50 times over and over again, because that worked in 1998, but it doesn't work anymore. So it's really important that you utilise the things that keywords that people are searching for, but not going overboard with it. As a designer as well, you want to ensure that you're keeping your load times on your pages as small as possible, so optimising images is really important, because a lot of people are surfing around on their mobiles and they don't want to be downloading huge amounts of data. You want to use web fonts so that when somebody comes into your site and they don't have your really intricate design font, that they get this really weird experience where the font's all out of whack and stuff. You want to use web fonts as much as possible. You also want to make it really easy to search via social media, share via social media, so providing tagging for Open Graph and those sort of things on your pages, so that when they post your URL into Facebook, it displays a nice picture and a nice little blurb about what your site's around. And again, always thinking about mobile users as well, because the amount of mobile traffic that's coming through is growing exponentially each year. So my really top secret designer cheat sheet that I stole from somebody else is essentially there's some really key things here that you want to think about every time you build a page. So you want to think about your headings, including keywords within your headings, because when a user lands on your page, they really quickly scan it to see if it's relevant to what they're looking for. So if you're using keywords within your headings, they see that they search for roadside assistance, they land on a page, the first thing they see is, bam, roadside assistance, okay, I'm on the right page. Then if you had your subheads structured correctly as well, it'll take them on the journey through the content and help them find what they're looking for really quickly. You want to use useful body copy, because that's going to really help with making sure your page is associated with that particular search term for roadside assistance. Using your image alt tags as well is really important, because people with screen readers or accessibility issues won't see your image necessarily. And you want to make sure that if it's a button to buy roadside assistance, that they can see it's a roadside assistance purchase button or something like that. So that if they don't see the images, that they can then follow the process through. And also ensuring that your link text is very descriptive as well. So click here is probably the worst link text you can possibly have. Click here for roadside assistance pricing is probably a lot more descriptive, and the user knows exactly where they're going to end up when they follow that link. Because they're always asking, do I need to click this, or am I going to go find somewhere else that's a lot easier to use? And finally, any social sharing buttons you can include within the design of the site to help people share it out and get the word out about your page. Great, as long as it makes sense within the context of your page. You don't want thousands of social banners all over your beautifully designed website. The other stuff to really ensure that you don't forget is your title tag, which is the bit that displays in blue when you are on the search engine there. And including a call to action within your title tag is really important. It helps generate that interest in the page. You use your keywords within the title tag, so that at least when someone searches for cheap movie tickets, they're going to see that this page is actually about cheap movie tickets, and also, oh yeah, I should probably go buy now. Excuse me. The meta description is also really important. It doesn't necessarily influence any SEO factors, but it helps generate that call to action, describing what's on the page, so that people actually know what they're going to find when they land on the page, and actually, you know, what that page is about cheap movie tickets, so I'm going to follow that through. So you should always be asking yourself at every stage of the page and the design and writing of these particular fields is this going to help people click through? Is this going to generate that desire to follow through from the search engine results alongside all of your competitors and all of the other pages that are showing up on Google for that particular search? The really great thing about this is, and I think the dates have disappeared across the bottom here for some unknown reason, but just purely by ensuring that this particular page, the RAC car batteries page, had the keywords in the title tags, in the various subheads, and ensuring the page was a lot better flowing for the user. You can see the result we had in terms of it tripled the traffic the next month when we simply didn't even write any content, we just structured the page correctly that made the most sense for the user and used the search terms that people were looking for. It tripled the traffic pretty much overnight as a result. And you're not always going to get extreme results like this, but when you do, you live off them for the rest of your career at the RAC, so I highly recommend. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, there's some really great resources that you can keep up to date with what's going on in the world of SEO. Google Webmaster Blog is something that everybody in digital should be checking on a regular basis. They are the regular traffic. They'll bring the majority of your search traffic. Bing has 10% market share and Yahoo has even less. When they speak, the whole internet scrambles to listen, and I highly recommend that blog. They're updating it all the time. Moz.com/blog is another great place that updates on almost a daily basis with great content around things to think about for designing sites, SEO updates, social, everything to do with digital, and I really recommend that as well. They have a weekly video on Fridays, which is on a variety of topics from industry leaders, so it's a really handy place to check out in your weekly web visitation. And the other one that I really recommend as well is for an SEO agency in Melbourne called Stuart Media. The guy has a moderately annoying voice, but he provides a very Aussie and accessible look at what's happening in search each week, so I really recommend that as well. Just to touch on Marieke's point earlier about when you're starting out, I started out as a marketing graduate, kind of just ended up in digital, and then all throughout my career the importance of digital grew. So if there's one piece of advice I can say to you is definitely don't discount digital, because it's only getting more important. The focus within marketing teams, within clients, is increasingly shifting to almost a pure digital focus. So if you want something that's going to be forever changing, forever challenging, and help a good degree of job security, I highly recommend you get into it. And you can actually, really, if you jump on Twitter, on Facebook, and look for people in your local area in the industry you're looking for, get in touch with them, say, can I buy you a coffee? It's a great way to drive there, by the way. And say, I'm really looking to get started in this industry, but I don't know where to start. You'll find that a lot of people will actually help you if they can. So that's how I got started here in Perth. I'm originally from Melbourne. I was moving from London, and I jumped on Twitter and was searching around for Perth marketing types, digital marketing. And one of the head guys at the local ad agency here, I got in touch with him and said, I really don't know anything about the Perth marketing landscape, can you help me out? He took me out for coffee, I actually showed him one. And we just had a chat, and it was really, there are a lot of good people who will help you if you're going to put yourself forward and put yourself out there. So I really recommend that. Anyway, Marieke, you had some stuff as well.
I'll quickly just mention a few of these resources for design and web. You probably all have your favourite design sites that you like going to anyway, but if you don't already know, Behance is really awesome. They've got a few folios and all that kind of thing on, lots of inspiration there. This is Colossal, Designer Daily, all about current things, trending, all that kind of stuff. Web design resources, Stack Overflow, really good for programming. And with Team Treehouse, they've got lots of great tutorials and stuff on there. You have to get a premium kind of membership to it, but it's definitely worthwhile. And Sass is the sassy way of using CSS3. Get on there and see how you can make programming a little bit of fun. Yeah, we hope that you've enjoyed our presentation, and we're going to be hanging around for a little bit if you want to have a chat about anything at all. And don't be scared of going into digital. I had no coding, very, very basic coding when I started, and I learnt it all on the job, and it wasn't really as hard or as scary as I thought it was going to be, but I continue to upskill, and it's a really good industry to be in, and a crucial one as well. So yeah, thank you very much for listening to us.